Hi, this is Chris Ball from Mashpee TV with another Mashpee update. Today we have our friend Richard DeSorgher from the Mashpee Historical Commission. Richard's going to update us on some of the things the Commission's been doing lately and some of the things they have going this summer. Particularly has some of it as it relates to the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution and how a lot of Mashpee residents, our Native Americans, were involved, and some of them gave the ultimate sacrifice. So Richard, thanks very much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I looked through this book that you, the Historical Commission came out. Very nice job. So why don't you talk about that first, and we'll cover anything else that comes along the way.
Sure. So as you know, this is the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution coming up. It started with the events at Lexington and Concord. We've seen the reenactment of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride and Bunker Hill. So this kicks off a period up until for the next 8 years that we'll be celebrating the Revolution. Next year, of course, will be the actual anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and everything. So starting 2 years ago, the Commission was trying to see if the town was going to do anything. Many of the communities are doing special things. Falmouth, of course, because they were actually attacked by the British. They have a whole commission that was appointed to deal with that. So we didn't see anything happening in Mashpee, and we felt it was very important we should do something. And so we brainstormed, and as you know, 2 years ago we just completed the first war memorial that covers everything from the Revolutionary War through Vietnam. So we did a lot of research ahead of time on the Revolutionary War. There were 67 from Mashpee that took part in the Revolutionary War. 15 of them died, gave their life for their country. So we figured we have some basic information and research to begin with. Why don't we focus on the 15 that gave their life for the war and their country? And so we figured we'll put a booklet out, and then we would expand and tell what Mashpee's role as a whole was, and then just generally what was going on here in Cape Cod as well. So the end product was the booklet that is now available to the public at the town library. We're asking that it be one copy for a family because we're limited on the numbers. We were able to print 200. And then Kathy Mahoney with the town library said that the Friends of the Library would be willing to pay for another publishing if our 200 run out. So they are available. So what we did a year ago, we were able to get a high school intern, a senior that worked with us during the summer. And she took a lot of the research we had, and then we joined forces with Brian Brody, who is the department head of the History Social Studies department at the high school. He's also the supervisor, the person in charge of the Mashpee Middle High School Honor Society, History Honor Society. And we talked with him, and he thought this would be a great project for the kids in the History Honor Society to work on as well. So starting last September, we turned over the research we had to them, and they worked throughout the year trying to add, like in particular, we knew, for example, what particular battles that, I'm looking at James Keeter, for example. We knew that he was out in the area of the Hudson River Valley area by West Point. So what the students were able to do is then look and find out okay, what exactly was going on there and what particular battles. And we had a number that were involved in the Battle of Bennington, the Battle of Saratoga. We found out that there were a number that were with Washington at Valley Forge, and the horrific conditions, just freezing conditions, lack of clothing, shoes, food, supplies. Many died of starvation, just horrible conditions that Washington was able to hold together, that his army in his winter quarters at Valley Forge. So we found out that there was a number of those from Mashpee that were in Valley Forge also. So what the students were then able to do is write up and do research on those particular battles. Now you got to remember that the records and the research is very difficult, especially with the Revolutionary War.
I would imagine.
It was, and so we were able to get basic information. So a lot of it you will read in the book and will say it's most likely, or it is very possible, that they were here at Valley Forge, or they were because we have the dates and the location, so we can put the two and two together. But we were very careful to make sure, because of just lack of records, we did the best we could, with that.
Well, I see that you reference certain publications and writings from others that you gathered information from.
We did, and at the end of the book, we list, all the different sources, and we have a wide variety of sources. When we first did the research on for the War Monument, for the Revolutionary War, the state has a book they put together of records called Sailors and Soldiers of the Revolutionary War. That's the official state.
The state of Massachusetts.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts, correct. So we were able to use that information to get basic information. That would give, the residents, it would give the dates they have that the individuals were in the service, and many times it would give locations and would give names of companies that they were with, whether the 2nd Massachusetts or whatever it happened to be. And so we were able to take that first step from Sailors and Soldiers and then go to a variety of other sources to try to match it. The Daughters of the American Revolution have put out a booklet called the Forgotten Patriots, and they did a lot of research. So we were able to go into that to see if we could then find the individuals we had in those records. There's also a book out that was privately done, called The Known Military Dead of the American Revolution. So we were able to cross-reference. And then the tribe has very good records of individuals. And so working with Rita Lopez at the tribe, we were able to go through all her records and trace individuals that she had. Now, all 15 that died during the war were all Wampanoag. The vast majority of the 67, but not all, were Wampanoag. But all of those that died were Wampanoag.
Interesting. Now, I noticed in reading the individual names of the people that died, that quite often it said from Mashpee, but also Sandwich. Is that, and in reading that, it said that each town was supposed to have their own militia. So did Mashpee have a militia, or was it part of Sandwich?
No, Mashpee was a district, a Native American district. We were not an official town in the Commonwealth.
Okay.
So individuals had to do a couple of things. One, they had to go to the other town to officially enlist. And the other thing was each town was given a quota of how many they had to meet. Sandwich constantly did not meet their quota. And so those from Mashpee would go into Sandwich to meet their quota that was there. And the other thing that's very interesting is Mashpee, unfortunately, because it was a Native American district, particularly Sandwich, Falmouth, and Barnstable, over the years literally took chunks of Mashpee land. They annexed Native American land that used to be part of Mashpee, which is why if you look at a map of Mashpee today, it's very odd. There's like pieces taken out. You go up on Cotuit Road into Sandwich and you're in Mashpee, then you go into Sandwich, and then you go into, then you go into Mashpee again. So there's actually where the town hall is, Collins, they call it Collins Field, that area.
Right.
At one point was actually part of Sandwich.
Really, that far in?
Yeah, even though it wasn't connected to the rest of Sandwich. It was almost like little sections of Mashpee were also annexed. So for example, we just had one individual that we were looking at, and it listed that he was from Sandwich. He lived where his house was where the Wampanoag Museum is now. So when he enlisted, that area actually had been annexed by Sandwich, and then it went back into Mashpee again. So we had a difficult time. So you will notice a lot of times we know the individual was from Mashpee, but when they enlisted, oftentimes they went to a surrounding town. And the other thing is the Wampanoags did not necessarily have a particular home address like the English that settled Sandwich and Barnstable. They moved, they lived closer to the sea in the summer and then moved inland. So they didn't have an exact address that was there. But they clearly were Wampanoags, and we were able to trace their residence through the records that Rita Lopez had for the family records and everything to show that they were from Mashpee, they were Wampanoag. So it was tricky trying to get the information of where exactly they were from, and to find out, yes, they were from Mashpee, but they went to Sandwich to fill the quota, or particular parts of Mashpee had been annexed and then later had gone back to Mashpee.
So that explains my question in my reading, why that was. So what was the quota? I thought I read somewhere 250 for each town?
Well, originally, Washington had asked, and so over the Cape, different towns met that quota. But again, if they didn't, they had to go out and try to get other individuals to fill the quota. So a lot of times, there was two different areas. One, there was the militia, and then there was the Continental Army.
Right.
So the militia, you only went to battle if you were called. If for example, there's a number of British ships that off of Truro and off of Falmouth that were shelling, and they would call the militia out. So then those from Mashpee would gather, and then they would respond. And while they were in that part of the service, then they were paid for their service.
From the Continental Army?
No, from the United States. But that's a whole other story. They paid them in eventually these continental dollars, which were worthless. But then others actually went into the Continental Army. Now they were full-time soldiers with that. So almost all of the ones we have, of the 15, started out in the militia. The 1st Barnstable, it was called the 1st Barnstable Company. And then from there, they responded to a number of, they were called to Truro twice, they were called to Falmouth, they were called to march on Rhode Island, because the British, of course, controlled Newport. Yeah. And a couple of times they actually attacked them down in Newport unsuccessfully, but they were called out. So then they went into the Continental Army, and usually they would serve for a 3-year period. And now they were full-time. And then they were sent, a lot of Mashpee were in the Hudson River area. They were out by Lake Champlain. Many were down in the Battle of Monmouth in New Jersey, again in Pennsylvania, with the events taking place there. We had a couple that actually served under Washington General Lafayette, who was the French, actually was only 19 years old, that came over here and was appointed a colonel here in our army in the Battle of Yorktown, which is considered to be the final battle of the war. So those from Mashpee actually were throughout, not so much the South, but throughout this area.
From Pennsylvania up, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was, particularly New York in that area.
So if somebody wants to pick up the book, they go to the Mashpee Library, and you're asking just one for family.
Right.
And there may be another run of this publication as needed.
If we run out, which is very nice, the Friends of the Library said they will publish 200 more, so we'll be able to update that. So we're excited. It's a good look at what's happening in Mashpee with all the events going on with the 250th anniversary. We wanted to do something. We wanted, a lot of people didn't realize the role that Mashpee played. So it's an educational tool, and it's also something to be proud of the role that Mashpee played.
Well, it is educational in the fact that it starts out with giving you definitions. What's a militia? What's a muster? Or what's this? What's that? So, reading through it, I was like, okay, now I can, as you went on, I said, okay, I know what that means. I know what that means.
Well, most people, unless you were in the service, a lot of people don't know a lot of the military terms. So we wanted to put that in the very beginning so you would have that as you read, because those terms are mentioned a lot.
All right. Well, nice job, you and the Historical Commission.
And can I just add one other thing? In addition to the students at Mashpee High School, the students at the Weedamoo School with the tribe, we wanted to involve the young people. So we wanted to involve the high school students, and we wanted to involve the younger kids as well. And the third grade students at the Weedamoo School, they were asked by their teacher what it means to them to be a warrior. And the kids did some excellent drawings. And so I just want to give credit to them and to their teacher, Dr. Greendeer, and Tina Pockneck, and the third grade students at the school as well.
Nice, very nice. So moving on, we have the Veterans Banner. Are we calling it a day, a ceremony? I'm not sure what you're going, but it's coming up July 13th, I believe.
Correct.
You want to speak on that a little bit?
Sure.
Because
So
this will be the second year.
this is the second annual, and when we put the monument, when the monument was dedicated, the criteria was you had to have enlisted from Mashpee in order to go onto the monument. And as you know, there's a lot of people that live in Mashpee that are veterans, but they weren't here, or they didn't enlist from Mashpee. So we wanted to do something that would be more inclusive. And so with the banners, it's in Community Park, and there are 19 lampposts in the park, and we're able to put 2 veterans, one on each side of the banner, the posts that hold the banner. So we can do 38 veterans. And we advertised ahead of time back in the spring. Again, this is the second year we've done this. And we had a veterans box, again, in the library. And any individual that used to live in Mashpee, now lives in Mashpee, and served or still is serving honorably in the service, could send their photo in and be put on the banners. And we wanted, again, to have no cost. Wanted to do something to honor the veterans. They've sacrificed enough. We didn't want to then charge them. And so we went to the business and the civic communities. Your Mashpee Pops, 2 years in a row, have been a great contributor. And because of that, we're able to continue the program. So I want to thank you and Mashpee Pops for that. So we were able to, the business community and the civic community were able to fund everything, both years. And so now the first year we had more than 38 veterans that wanted to have their picture on the banners. So we had a lottery and we picked the first 13-8, but then guaranteed those that didn't make it would be on this year's. And then we did the same thing this year. So we have all 38, and so they'll, starting July 13th at 1 o'clock at the gazebo at Community Park, right opposite Town Hall, we'll have a brief ceremony, and then we'll unveil the 38. And if it's anything like last year, it was really very moving because many brought their kids, and it was their grandfather or their great-grandfather or their father or their son who was up there. And in many cases, there was a large number of the family, and just was moving seeing them point, up to the veteran.
Don't forget daughters too.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, both. We have male and females, and so it just was moving to see the pride, that was there. So that will be taking place July 13th, and the banners will be up through the end of November. We want to make sure they were up for Veterans Day, and the ceremonies that take part, they'll be up for that. So the entire Mashpee community is invited. It's at 1 o'clock. If you can't make that, anytime during the summer to the end of November, take a walk through the park. It's really an impressive park. You can walk all through, see the veteran banners. You can see the war memorial that's up there. And the other thing, again, thanks to the citizens of Mashpee, they approved the second war monument. The first war monument covers Revolutionary War through Vietnam. And the reason it didn't continue is that the war in Afghanistan was still ongoing, so we couldn't include that. But we made a promise to those veterans that once that's over, we will have your names on a new monument. And so we've kept our word on that, and the citizens of Mashpee supported that at town meeting. And so we're working right now, we're gathering names, and just a call out to everyone in Mashpee, on the town website, under Mashpee Historical Commission, there's a subtopic that says Veterans War Monument. And we have a list. There's 287, I believe, right now. And this would include Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield. Then it would include Iraq and Afghanistan. So it would be those three engagements. And if you served, again, you would have had to enlist from Mashpee. But if you did serve and you enlisted from Mashpee, just urge you to check that website. We're going to do some advertising through the Enterprise and the newspaper as well to have those names available. We're working with the state. Again, you would think the military had the best records. They do not. And so there's a little struggle. We just want to make sure, and knock on wood, we have not had to change or add anyone yet on the existing monument. So we were pretty good on that first monument, and we want to make sure we're real accurate on the second monument. So that's coming up. We're already, we have the design completed. It's going to look similar to the existing monument, which is in the shape of a wave. But this one will have a water feature. Over the listing of the names of the wars, it'll have a continued waterfall will come over the front.
That'll be outstanding.
Yeah, so that's ongoing. We're going to be working on that, the design this summer and the actual going out to bid and everything in the fall. And we hope this time next year we'll be dedicating the new war monument. And it'll be right in between where Veterans Garden is, which is where the 25 who gave their lives from Revolutionary War through Iraq and Afghanistan. Each individual has an individual stone, an honor stone that's there. So this new monument will be in between the existing monument and Veterans Garden that's there. So that's coming up as well.
So Richard, today you're casually dressed like any Cape Codder would be. But, I believe it's on Mondays throughout the summer, you're not so casually dressed. And you were playing, not playing because you used to be a teacher, but you're playing the role of what would have been the school teacher schoolmaster back in the day.
Yes.
You want to just tell us a little bit about that as
Sure.
our time runs up, but also in the same breath, I know that you're now giving a walking tour for about an hour walking tour. You want to give us a quick summary on those?
The two things, just to make sure, the schoolhouse is actually open Tuesdays.
I'm sorry, Monday is the walk, right?
Correct. So Tuesdays from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We invite you to come down. It's one of Mashpee's gems at 1831, one of the oldest buildings in Mashpee, originally located in South Mashpee, now located in Community Park. And it's full of Mashpee and Wampanoag history. We'll be able to give you that information. And we'll also have you go through a typical, what it would have been like going to school in 1840. You can write with your quill, pen and ink, and if you're up to it, you can play the hoop and stick during recess. And there's all kinds of activities. And we're open right through Indigenous People Day in October. But the new thing we've added this year is a historic walking tour. And it begins in the archives, which is up above, right across from Town Hall. And if you've never been in the archives, it's full of all kinds of town and tribal history that's in there. And then from there, Ava Costello, who is the chair of the commission, is doing a research on all the different homes and buildings that used to be in Mashpee. That, of course, was Mashpee Center. That was the true center of Mashpee. So we'll go out and we have handouts, and you can see from the photos what the original library was. It was one small room, used to be next to where Town Hall is now. And then you'll see pictures of the original North School, which is where Town Hall is now. And then you'll see the original Baptist Church, and we have a little spiel that goes along with it. And then you'll walk out into Veterans Garden, and you'll go by not only the 15 that are in the Revolutionary War, but there's those that died in the Civil War, in World War II, in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we have information about them. We'll walk you then out onto Main Street, and where the community store is, with the old trading post and the old town hall, the old fire station that used to be in between the trading post and what is now Dunkin' Donuts. And we have information about the Adequan Hotel, which is very famous, and Collins' store, which used to be right in the middle where the park is. And then we'll end at the schoolhouse, and there'll be an abridged version of the schoolhouse, and we can do all that in 50 minutes. So it's a nice little walking tour, and that's every Monday, and that's on the hour, so at 11, 12, and 1.
So do you have to reserve, or do you just show up?
Nope, you just show up.
So it's every Monday?
Every Monday at 11, 12, and 1, we have a sign, one of those sandwich boards we put out on the sidewalk that's out there. So Monday is the walking tour, Tuesday is the schoolhouse.
And the schoolhouse is open again from what time?
11 to 2, and just come on in. If those times are not good for you, all you have to do is contact me, and we have a number of handouts that are at the library and at Town Hall. And all you have to do is email me, and I'll work around your schedule. So if you want to do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday, I'll work with your schedule so we can even fine tune. It doesn't have to be on Tuesday.
Okay, and your email address is?
Okay, it's my name. So it's Richard.DeSorgher, DeSorgher, @gmail.com. Can you maybe put that in the bottom of the screen?
We will do that.
Okay.
Okay. Richard, we're coming close to wrapping it up here. Any last thoughts? You guys are really busy, really doing a lot. As always, I'm impressed. You never stop moving.
Well, just one other thing. because of the work that the high school students and the third graders did with the booklet, every year we put out what's called a preservation award. And it's trying to encourage either people to preserve their historic homes or somehow preserve and add to Mashpee's history. And this year, our preservation award, which is going to be on July the 27th, which is a Sunday at 1 o'clock in the archives, and we're giving the award to the Mashpee Middle High School National Honor Society and to the students at the Weedamoo School. And so we'll have a little ceremony for them on the 27th to just show our appreciation that they're preserving, through the work on this booklet, Mashpee's history.
All right, great. So that's July 27th at the Archive Building.
At 1 o'clock, correct.
At 1 o'clock. Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's going to pretty much do it for today. Richard, thank you very much for all the great information and all the great work. This is Chris Ball from Mashpee TV signing off. We'll see you next time on our next update. Thank you.